Chapter 29. Dance, Dance, Dance. Red bit her lip and led Ace to the center of the room. Katie, sensing what they needed, nodded and slipped in another tape. It was a young King Ben singing Be Our Guest with the Oradon Glee Club, whatever that was. It was music from a place that was not bound to Red's mother, from a better time that no one in the room had experienced but all longed for just the same. The crowd didn't change, but they were curious. Red could feel it. She took a deep breath and faced Ace. He looked at her solemnly and began to shift his shoulders, one by one, to the beat. "Okay," he said in a low voice so no one could hear. "I remember seeing some of this, I think. And this..." At every fourth beat, he sort of dropped his hips, shoulders plus hips. Red did her best to imitate his movements, though it felt like she was trying to work certain muscles that had been stiff and cold for years. A few people turned to watch with interest, and Red's face burned. Suddenly, her fingers came to life, snapping to the beat of their own accord. Something about the sound connected to the rhythm of her body, allowed her brain to match it better. "Oh, hey, snapping helps," Red told Ace. "Don't ask me why." "Good, and some of this." Ace took one step to the side, then one back. Steps on the first and third beats. Red mirrored him, moving in the same direction at the same time. Then she burst out laughing. "We must look so ridiculous," she said. "That's okay. Keep going." Ace grinned wide, and Red saw that a circle of people had formed around them. It almost made her falter, but then she noticed a few nodding, snapping, and tapping their feet. "It's working," she whispered. "How about this?" Ace switched up his rhythm and stepped opposite her, moving one way while she moved the other. He got his head into it now, leading with his chin and letting his body follow in a movement that became more and more fluid. Red laughed and then stepped backward and forward instead of side to side. She thought suddenly of Maddox's lessons on the planes of space and movement. There were so many ways they could dance dynamically, bringing it into new dimensions. Red dropped low for 2 beats, then popped back up. Side to side, back and forth, up and down, around. "Nice," Ace laughed. He began to clap instead of snap, getting into it more. Katie inched the volume up even higher. Red and Ace moved around each other in a circle, trying out their new moves, and never taking their eyes off each other. But in her peripheral vision, Red saw the others were joining them. Singles, pairs, and groups of 3 were breaking away from the circle, looking a little robotic at first, but getting better, getting smoother. The crowd buzzed again, chatter and shrieks and laughter ringing out here and there. Katie switched to a song that went even faster, and Red and Ace tightened their circling around each other to match it. They were whirling around so quickly, so dizzily, that at one moment Red nearly tripped over her own feet. Ace grabbed her hands and pulled her back to him. Red cried out and then laughed out loud, breathless. She and Ace were surrounded by people, but somehow also completely alone, in their own little bubble of time within the chaos and noise. The laser lights cut through the darkness behind him, and he stared at her, mouth open slightly. One of his hands held hers, the other was somehow around her waist. Red felt time sliding to a stop as she became aware of every second that they were passing together in this embrace. "Red," he murmured, and he leaned down closer to her. The lights flew on, stark and blazing. The music fell immediately. Red groaned inwardly. Someone had stumbled against the switch, or it was Chester playing a joke on them. Then the sound of her mother's voice, commanding and ice-cold, cut sharply through the room. "What is going on here?"